Hi everyone, welcome to day 7 of our 30 days Python series. So finally today we are completing 7 days. Thank you so much for showing so much love to all of my last 6 video. Today I'm really excited because today we are completing 7 days and today we're going to learn a lot of new concept as well. So today we will start with for loops. We will learn for loops and while loops. In for loops we will learn continue statement, we will learn break statement, we will learn arrange functions, and at the end we will do a mini project to apply all the learnings of the day. And I have also included 10 exercise problems, which is easily exercise problem, which you can solve by yourself to learn all this concept. So let's first start with what is a for loop. Okay, so I'm just going to define a variable here called skills, and in this skills I'm going to store few skills as a list. Okay, so let's say I'm going to store call AWS, and I'm going to store call GCP. So I have defined a list called skills. In this skills I have 3 skills, which you can see it here, which is called AWS, GCP and Azure. Okay, now to understand it using for loop, so I can say for I in, and I can say skills. Okay, this I is iteratable here, so this I is going to iterate through AWS, GCP and Azure. So we can simply now here we can say print. Okay, now this is a conditions which you can see for I in skills. So we're going to iterate through this I in this skills, which is going to be first I value is going to be AWS, then I value is going to be GCP, and then I value is going to be Azure, and here we can simply print I. Okay, so what will happen, we are saying for I in this list, and if I just print it, this I is going to first, this I is going to consider as a AWS, which is my first element in this list, and then it is going to print this second element, then it is going to print third elements. Okay, so using for loop you can iterate through a sequence of maybe a range or maybe a number or maybe a list or maybe a tuples. Okay, so here we are iterating through a list, which you can see it here, and we can just go ahead and print. So usually you can execute different blocks of code here, so through each iterations you can execute different blocks. Okay, so now we know that we have 3 elements. So first I'm saying for I in skills, so that means in skills I have 3 elements, so each element this I is going to iterate through. Okay, so we can just run it, and you can see first I was AWS, then I got chance to GCP, and then I got chance to Azure, and I can see the outcome here. Okay, so this is using for loop, what you have done using for loop. Okay, the definitions related to for loops. So it says a for loop in Python is used to iterate over a sequence like list, tuple, string, range, and execute block of code repeatedly for each item in that sequence. Okay, so in this list you can see I have 3 items. So through each item, first it is printing the first, because first I is considering is AWS, then I is considering as GCP, then I is considering is Azure. Okay, so let's understand this using some more example. Now I'm going to explain it using something called range functions. So let's create a new code cell here, and let's say I'm going to say that x. Okay, and I'm going to say range. So range is very important functions in Python. So range, I can give 2 values. I can call start and I can call end, and then it's something called step. Okay, so basically it's going to create a number series starting from this whatever value you will define, it is going to end it here, and here you can define this step like 1 2 3. Okay, so simple, it just create a number series. So I can just show you, let's say I'm going to say starting from 1 and ending at maybe 10. Okay, and this step is, it's not mandatory, but I can just give it as 1. Okay, now this is going to create a series something like this. Okay, so x is going to be 1 2 3 till 10. Okay, so last number is not included, so you will be having something called 9. Okay, so this is what we will have. So let's see through for loops. Okay, so through for loops we can print through each iterations in this x we can print that number. Okay, so we can go ahead and say for I in, now this I you can give any name, so I'm just giving it I. You can give it anything, you can give it here any name, so I'm just giving I here, so I'm saying I in, and this is part of syntax, so you can say I in x. Okay, now you need to give this colon to end this statement, then you need to put your print statement, which is inside this block of code, right, which is here. You can see by default it is adding 1 indentation space, so here I am going to say what, print I. Okay, now if I execute it, you can see what is happening. So first it is considering from this range, it is creating a series. You can say it is creating a series. If you want to see the definitions regarding it, it is creating a series from 1, because first I value is 1 here, and then I value is 2, then 3, then 4 till 9, because this last number that you see, this is not included in a range. Okay, so range simply create a series. Okay, so let's see the definitions regarding range. So I'm just going to add a cell here and I'm going to say range, and let's see the help regarding range. So it says return an object that produce a sequence of integers, which is numbers, okay, from a start. Okay, inclusive. So start is inclusive, but if you see to stop the last element is exclusive. Okay, and then you can give a step. So we can see some more example here. Here I can give it from starting, I'm saying 1, and here I'm going to say maybe 5. Okay, maybe 10, I will keep it 10, and I would say step is 2. So the first element is going to be 1, then it is going to, instead of 2, it's going to be 3. Okay, let's see now. Now you can see the first element is 1, then 3, then 5, then 7, because I have given this step is 2. I can give it a step is 4. Then you can see first element is 1, then 5, then 9. Okay, so this step is simply, otherwise it is just adding with this 1, it is adding in the next element, it is adding what, simply kind of 1. But if you divide it 4, so it's going to add 4, so it's going to, next element is going to be 5, then 9. Okay, this is what a range function does. What we're doing using a for loop, we are iterating through each element of this variable, which is here you can see, and then we are printing it. So you can use a tuple, you can use a list, you can use a dictionary, which we will see in the future. Okay, very simple task. For loop, what it does, it iterates through all the elements of this variable, or it's a list or tuple or dictionary. Okay, now instead of I can give it call, ABC. Okay, and here I just need to print this ABC. Okay, it works fine. So you will be getting the same output, because this is just you're giving an argument which is kind of iteratable. Okay, now let's learn something called continue, and let's learn something called break. Okay, so let's see this problem. It says write a loop that iterate through numbers 1 to 10. Okay, which you have already seen. Use continue statement to skip printing the number 5. Okay, now we will learn about continue statement. Now if I say that, I can just simply go ahead and say for I in, and I can define directly range here. Okay, and I can say 1 to 10. Okay, if I just print this colon is mandatory, if I print this I, you will see that it's going to print 1 to 10, because this last element is not included. If you want 10 to be included, then you can say 10 plus 1. Okay, you will see now it is simply iterating through 1 to 10. Okay, using this for loop. Simple. Now what do you want? Let's say here we want to skip specific numbers. Okay, from this result we want to specifically skip one numbers. So if you see here, it says use the continue statement to skip printing number 5. Okay, so we want to skip the number 5. So for that we have two options with for loops. One is called continue, one is called break. Okay, let's see both the statements. So continue will just skip one iterations, so it is just going to skip one iterations. Okay, and the break is simply going to break the loop. Okay, these are the two functions this two statement does. Okay, so let's see how we can implement this continue and break, and where we should implement. Okay, so first, if you see, first I is going to be 1, obviously, so I'm printing 1, so 1 is going to be printed. Then whatever I have code here after this, that is going to be executed. Then I value is going to change to 2, then it is going to print 2. So this is what it is doing, you can see it here. Okay, so even if you want to write a message here, I can go ahead and say that I value is, and here I can put I. Okay, now if I execute it, you see first starting with I, so first it is printing I here. Okay, then it is printing a message called, see in the same line it is printing a message called I value is 1. Then I value is getting changed. Okay, because from this range, so obviously the next element that I have in this range is 1 to 10, that's going to be 2. So then I value is 2, then it is saying I value is 2 and is printing 2, so 3, and so on so on. Okay, so then it is reaching the last, which is going to be 10, and then it is printing, yes, this time I value is 10. Okay, so this is what is happening. You can put here 100 line of code, if in case all the lines of code are inside this for loop, so all those codes are going to be executed. Then the I value is going to change to next item. Okay, so this is what it does. Now what we want is that we want to skip if this I value is 5. Okay, so that is what we need to do. For that you can use a continue statement here. Okay, so we will first check I. Okay, if I equals, so which is double equals 5, if I equals 5, then I want to what, then I want to skip it. So for a skip I would write continue. Okay, so what I'm saying, if I value is 5, so I would just put it this way. If I value is 5, okay, then I would say continue. So that means if I value is 5, then continue, and then it is going to print like the I. So let's see what is actually going to happen now. So here I'm saying for I in the range 1 to 10. So it is going to print the number from starting from 1 to 10, because the first I value is going to be what? First I's value is going to be 1. It is going to print it. So see, before printing, it is checking a conditions. It's checking if I equals to 5. If I is equals to 5, it is going to say continue. So this continue means what? Skip this number, skip this iterations. Okay, now till the time it doesn't say I equals 5. So let's say if the I is not equals to 5, then it will directly print I. So initially, let's say I value is 1, so it is going to print 1 because I is not 5. Then I is 2, is going to print 2. Okay, because every time it is checking this if conditions. So after 4, the I value is 5 finally, and then it is simply saying what? That continue, because I is 5. Continue means what? Continue to next iterations. So that is not printing 5. You can see it is not printing 5. Okay, so this is what it is happening. If you want to understand with another example, I can just go ahead and give another example. Let's say something like fruits, and here I can create a list called apple, banana, cherry, okay, mango. So let's say I have a fruits list with all these 4 fruits, and what I want to check is that if this fruits is banana, I don't want to print that. Okay, see, if in case I want to print all this through an iterations, I can go ahead and say for I in fruits. Okay, and I would just need to print I, because I want to print I right at the moment. You see, I am printing apple, banana, cherry, mango, right? Now what I want is that if in case this if in case this fruits is cherry, so I want to exclude that iterations, so it is just going to print mango then. So for that, I need to define it here. I need to define the condition here. Otherwise, if I define after this print, so first print, it is going to print the element, then it is going to check that condition. So basically that's not going to be true here. So what I need to do is that I need to use if, and I can go ahead and say if I, okay, equals to this cherry, then as a if condition, so I want to simply, if it's a if condition, so I need to use colon here. Oops, colon here, because I'm checking conditions here. Oops, checking a condition here. Now inside this if block, what I want to do, if in case if this condition is true, then I would say continue. Okay, I need to make sure this print statement is not inside this if, because otherwise that's not going to be printed. It's going to simply exit it. Okay, so first need to make sure that this print statement is not inside this if block. So now let's see what is happening here. So we are saying for I in fruits, so that means this I is going to be first apple, then banana, then cherry, then mango, and then without printing it, we are checking a conditions here. Okay, so we are saying if I equals banana, if I equals to banana, then continue. That means this continue means what? This iterations is going to be ignored. Okay, so we are not printing this I. That means we're not printing banana. If I execute it, if you see here, it doesn't print banana. Why? Because for banana we are saying continue. So simple way to understand is this: if this I is banana, it's going to skip that iterations and it is going to continue with the next iteration. So first it is saying I equals apple, so I is not banana, it is printing it. Okay, then we are saying I equals banana, then yes, I is banana, so it is continuing. That means it is simply skipping that iteration. So then cherry, so it's printing cherry, then mango, it's printing mango. Okay, so very simple. You just need to define this if logic and make sure this print is outside of this if logic. This print is not part of this if block. This print is part of this fruits block. Okay, but if you define this print here, then that means it's not going to kind of work. So let's kind of see if I define this print here. So first here what is happening, we are saying I in fruits. So first I is going to be what? First I am going to be apple, so it's going to print apple, then banana, then it's going to print banana, then cherry is going to print cherry, then mango is going to print mango. So even at the time when you say print I, so you are saying I equals banana, by that time it's already has printed that banana. You can see here. Now this time it is not working. Why? Because here first I is apple, it is already printing it, right? Then it is checking the conditions. So when this I is banana, it has already printed banana, and then it is checking the banana and is saying continue, skipping it, but it cannot skip because it has already executed this the print. Okay, so that's the reason you need to define this print after this if block. Okay, so that is it about the continue statement. Let's see the break statement. Okay, let's see what break statement does. Let's understand break statement with another example. Okay, so I'm just going to say something like this for I in range, and I'm going to define a range something starting with 1 and something like very large numbers. Okay, so I would define this step is kind of 5. Okay, so this is one of my series where I'm saying 1 to this maybe 100 millions, okay, or maybe 10 millions, and step is 5. So that means still it is going to be very large, iterations, because first it's going to be 1, then it's going to be 6, then it's going to be 11. Okay, this way it is going to, like, there will be more than 1000 plus elements, right? So if I now say here that print, and if I now here print I, okay, so it's going to print, right? So again let's execute it. Okay, so you see it will print, so it is printing, so it's going through iterations, each iterations, and it is printing the numbers. You can see it is here, right? It has printed number starting 1 to 1 and till here, till this record, it has printed, like, huge numbers. Okay, so here what is happening, it will first print 1, then it will print like 5 plus 1 plus 5, this step is 5, then it is going to 6 plus again, another 5, so 11. So this is why this is how it is happening. Okay, but what we want here is that we want something else here. Okay, so here we want break statement. So the break statement ensure that if condition is true, the loop ends here. Okay, so there is two way you can define it here. Okay, you can define it here, and or you can define it after print. So now we can define it after print, and we can see. So I can define after print, and let's say what I want is that if this I is kind of, let's say, here let's define it something 101. If I is 101, I want this loop to end. I want this loop to terminate. So for that, what I want is that I would say if I equals 101, okay, then it's a condition what I want. So I would simply say break. So that means it is going to break the loop. Okay, let's execute. Okay, you can see it here. So first it is printing I, which is 1, then 6, then 11, then 16, 21, 26. Okay, till the I become 101. As soon as I become 101, it break the loop, because this break statement, simple definition of this break statement is that as soon as the condition meet, then it is going to break the loop. It's not going to continue the loop. Okay, though here if you see the I, it should continue till this range, right, which is like 10 millions. Okay, but it is breaking because of these conditions. Okay, but I am printing the number before breaking it. I'm printing the number, so that's the reason you can see 101 here. So this is going to terminate, okay, the loop. This is how it is happening. Now if I just put this break statement before this print, that means before printing 101, it is going to break it, but it's going to print rest of the numbers. Okay, so let's kind of see now. Okay, you can see it has printed till 96, as it is first checking the condition, then it is printing it. So it is checking I is 101, no, then it is printing it. I is 101, no, it is printing it. Okay, so this is how it is happening. Now again, depending on the requirements, you can define that you want to check the condition before printing it, or you want to check the condition after printing it. Okay, so you have seen both ways of using this break statement. Now I can give some more example to make it a little more easy. So let's understand it here. Okay, let's see this example. So I'm just going to take this list, and let's say it here. Okay, so let's say I'm saying fruits, apple, banana, cherry, mango. Okay, so what I want is that for, I would say, fruit in, okay, in this fruits. So for fruit in fruits, you can see, you can, this iterations, you can give any name. This is just a name that I am giving it here, and you just need to print it here. Okay, whatever you want to print. So I can say for fruit in fruits, and I would say print what, fruit. Okay, print fruit. So next what I want is that if the fruit's name is cherry, I want to break the loop, so it is not going to print the mango. Okay, so for that, what I can say here is that after printing it, okay, after printing the cherry, I want to break the loop. So I can say if and fruit, which is fruit, equals cherry, small ch rry. Okay, if this is a condition, because I need to use a semicolon here, then what I want is I want break. Okay, if I say break, you see it is printing apple, banana, cherry. Okay, so it is first printing the fruits, then it is breaking the statement. So here it is not printing the mango because the fruit is cherry, so we are saying terminate the loop. Okay, now I can give it before print, so it's not going to print the cherry. Before that, it's going to terminate it, but it's going to print rest of the elements. Okay, you can see it here. Okay, it's not printed the cherry. Okay, so I hope you understood this concept. Very, very simple. So you can do a lot of things here using this break and continue statement. The simple way to remember it is that this break is going to terminate the loop. Break the loop, I remember this way: break the loop. Continue the loop without breaking it, but it skip that iterations. Okay, so that is it about the continue and break. We will be implementing this in the future project. So let's see our next statement. Okay, now we have seen how continue works, how break works, what is range. We have seen for loops. Okay, very, very simple. We will now see something called for loops through a dict and list. We have seen through a list. Let's see for loop through a dict. Okay, so what I meant here is that I can go ahead and say here, define a dict, so which is called students. Let's define a dict called students. Okay, or maybe let's make it interesting, so let's define a dict called apple. Okay, and inside this dict I'm going to put the apple name, iPhone name, and the price. Okay, so I would say iPhone 16, and okay, that's the key for iPhone 16. In the key I'm going to store what price, which is called 1299. Okay, so that's my first key. Then what I want is that the second key is going to be maybe iPhone 15, and the price I want to store called 1099. Okay, I want one more, so that's going to be iPhone 14, and the price I would want something called 999. Okay, let's do one more, iPhone 13. It's a string key, so I would just put inside this double quotes price is, let's say, 899. Let's give it a colon sign. All right, so this is a dict, which is, you can see, apple. Now what I want, using for loop, I want to iterate through this iPhone and the price. Okay, so what I can do here is that for now we have key and values, both things here. Okay, so we can go ahead and say here is that for I, okay, and x in this apple. Okay, so I can simply I can include a print statement. I can say print, and let's go ahead and say that product name, and in this product name I want to include iPhone, so I will do the later on, and I would say price. Okay, here I would include the price. So what I want to do is here is that I would just use a formatting here, and here I would include I, and here I would include x. Now let's go ahead and execute it. Now first of all, we need to we are saying that for I and x in apple. Okay, so this is a dict. So first of all, from the dict I need to get the items. Okay, so for that I would just say dot apple. Okay, apple dot items. Okay, because I'm going to iterate through each items. Okay, so that it convert this apple to items. So if you want to see the items of this dict, so we can just go ahead and say here apple is a dict. Then if I want to see the item, so apple dot items, which is covered in the day, I think 5. So you can see the items. Let me just, not this one, where is it? Here is the one. Okay, so you can see item is going to be like, this is my first item, this is my second item, this is my third item, this is my fourth item. So same thing it is happening here. So this is one of the tuples, this is one of the tuples, this is one of the tuples, this one of the tuples, all the tuples, right? So based on this it is going to work. So let's execute it now. I would just need to add a semicolon. So you can see product name, and the price is the product name is here, and the price is here, and the price is I have filled using this kind of filler, right, which is I have used F formatting. Okay, so this is how you can iterate through a dict as well. You have already seen how to iterate through a list. Same way you can iterate through a tuples as well. Okay, Now let's learn about while loop. Okay, so you may get confused with for loops and while loop. That is the reason I have added 10 plus exercise for both the problems, for loops also, for while loops also. So make sure to go through each of these problems, try to solve it. Okay, same problems I have added for loops, for while loops, so you understand the logic, like how to solve it using for loop and what exactly syntax you need to change if in case you want to solve using same using while loop. Okay, so we will understand that. Now let's understand the definitions for while loop. Okay, so while loop definition is again very simple. It says a while loop in Python is used to repeat block of code as long as a specific condition is true. So similar like if statement, if this if statement condition is true, it prints some of the line of code, right, which is inside this if statement. But with while loop, till the time the condition is true, it is going to keep on executing that code, whatever the code you are going to give it. Okay, so it says a while loop in Python is used to repeat the block of code as long as a specific condition is true. It continued to execute the loop body until the condition become false. Okay, so we will see a lot of example to understand this concept properly. Okay, now for this, first you need to understand assignment operator, which I have covered in the day 1 or day 2, and I am also going to touch those topic as well for today because that is very important. Okay, so let's first see how while loop works. Okay, so we will see counting up, counting down, and all those things we will solve using while loop. Then we will do a mini project. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of first see counting up. Now before that, let's touch or let's retouch our assignment operator in Python. Okay, so I'm going to say let's understand something with the friends. Okay, so let's say you have a friend and you are giving the friend, at the moment you have a friend of 0. Okay, so if I go ahead and print the friends, so you will see it is going to give us 0. Now let's say I have given, you got one new friends, so you can simply go ahead and say friend equals, and you can say friend plus 1. Okay, now at the end we want to print the friends, so I would just say print of what, friends. Okay, so if you try to understand, very simple, I am saying friends equals 0. I had 0 friend, then I got a new friend. That means I am this time storing in the friends, I am restoring friends plus 1. So that means I am saying friend equals friends plus 1. So this friend is what, 0 plus 1. That means I am storing this 2 now. So this friends is what, 0, so plus 1. That means it's going to be now what, 1. So if I execute it, I get 1. Okay, so easy way. Now there is one more way we can print it. So we can go ahead and say here something like this, friends plus equals 1. Okay, so both way it is going to give you the same result. You can see I'm still getting 1. So if I just say maybe 5, I will be getting 5. Okay, so what is it is happening, it is first considering the friends as 0, and then we are saying okay, with that friends whatever we have earlier which is 0, we are just adding a new numbers which is 5, and then we are storing it back to the same variable which is friends. Okay, so that means the friends numbers we are updating with 5 and storing back to the same variable. Okay, that is called assignment operator. So we have same way we can do for minus as well, we will see. So we can say that you have 0 friend, and then we can go ahead and say, let's say I am going to change it, call maybe 5, you have 5 friends, and let's say I am going to say here is that if in case I say friend minus 1. Okay, so what I'm saying here, okay, you have 5 friends, then I'm saying inside the friend I'm storing what, friend minus 1. So that means whatever the friend you had, I'm minusing 1 and then storing it back to friends. Okay, so if you see I am getting 4. So same thing I can write it this way. So I can go ahead and say friends minus equals 1, you will be getting same answer. Okay, if I say minus equals 2, you will be getting 3. Okay, so same thing we can do for multiplications as well. So for multiplications, let's say you have friends at the moment call 2. Okay, and we are saying friends times 2. Okay, so that means you are saying you have 2 and you are multiplying with 2 and then you are storing it back to friends. That's going to be 4. You can see it here. Same thing we can write it this way. We can go ahead and say friends, and we can say multiplications, which is multiplications plus 2. Okay, so that means I am saying whatever the friends I had, I am multiplying with a 2 and then I'm storing it back to friends, and that means I would have 4. Okay, same thing we can do for again divisions as well. So we can go ahead and say we had friends of 2, and let's say let's make it call 10. Okay, and we can say friends of, I'm saying friends equals friends divided by 2, and I'm basically storing it back to friends. So if I execute it now, it's going to be 10 divided by 2, that's going to be 5. Okay, you can see that is 5. Okay, So same way we can write it this way as well. So friends, you will say divide equals 2, so you will be getting again, let's first change it. You see I'm getting still 5. Okay, so we can also do for the floor divisions, which is going to delete the portion after the decimal point, which is after this decimal point. So let's say if I just change it to 11 and I say this one, which is called, okay, friends equals friends, and I can go ahead and say floor divisions. I need to put this divisions twice. That's going to get me the results. So 11 divided by 2, that's going to be 5.5, but I'm using a floor division, so it's going to eliminate all the portions after the decimal, so I'll be having result as a 5. Okay, so that's a floor divisions, right? You can see I'm having 5. Now if in case I want to write it this way, the short form, so that's going to be friends, and I would say floor divisions equals what, that is 2. Okay, I will have the same outcome, so you can see it here. So that is fine. Let's check for modulus as well. So we will say friends, and we would say equals friends modulus, which is this sign, equal sign, and that's going to be maybe 5. Okay, so if I do friends divided by 5, so I will have left with the reminders. Okay, so reminder is 1, because 11 divided by 5, remainder would be 1. Okay, not 5, 11 divided by 2, so remainder is going to be 1. So either remainder is going to be 0 or 1. So we will have the reminders and we will check, we will run it. You see the remainder is showing 1. Okay, so this is called modulus. Now same thing we can do this way, we will be getting same outcome. So you can go ahead and say modulus equals and 2. Okay, so if I just comment it out, you see I'm getting 1. Okay, so that is the modulus. So this is how we will use the assignment operator. Most of the time we'll be using this minus and the plus one. Okay, so when you see this minus equals or plus equals, don't get confused, because the concept is very simple. So just try to re-go through this topic, which is called plus equals or minus equals. Okay, the simple way I understand it is that whatever the value I had, I will be plussing with this side, and then I would be storing it back to this. That means I would be updating that variable's value. Okay, so this is very important concept, and we will be using this concept. Okay, now let's see counting up. Okay, using while loop, how we can get this counting up functions. Okay, so let's write a problem. So you can say that print the number till 10. Okay, so from 1. Okay, so from 1 we want to print till 10. Okay, so till 10 we need to print from 1. Okay, so for that, if you in case you want to print it using for loop, so you can say for I in range, and you can say 1 starting, then 10 plus 1, because the last element is not included, so you can say print. Okay, then you can say print I. Okay, you can say I'm getting 1 to 10, that's fine. Okay, because it's a counting up. Okay, starting from 1 to 10, that's fine. Okay, this is how you do it with for loops. Now if in case we want to solve the same thing with while loops, what you can do is that, let's say while loop syntax is very simple. Okay, so you can say while a condition is true, it is going to execute the code. Okay, now we will start with something called here maybe I or number. We can say num, and we can say num starting with maybe something like 0. Okay, let's start with the 0. So we will say while this num, okay, while this num is what, less than 10. Okay, while this num is less than 10, so this is the conditions. I need to build the condition here. Okay, I'm saying while this number is less than 10, and what you want to do is that we can go ahead and say print what number. Okay, so first I'm saying the number is a 0, so obviously it's going to print a 0. Okay, and then I would define it number is 1 here. Okay, because I want to start with 1 and I want it to go to 10. So I'm saying while this number is less than, okay, very important, you need to understand this concept. While this number is less than 10, I'm saying print a number. So first it is going to take the number which is 1, obviously it is less than 10, because see here we need to give the conditions. If the condition is true, it is going to print this code. Okay, this code whatever it does, it doesn't know, but if this condition is true, it execute this code, simple way. Okay, then it check the condition again, then it again execute this. So it will keep on checking the condition till the time this condition is not false. Okay, so we're saying while this number is less than 10, because now we have number is 1, and we're saying while this number is less than 10, print number. Okay, if I execute it, it is going to keep on, like, you know, it is going to fall in n loop. Okay, now you need to define it properly. So what we will do here is that we are going to update the number. Okay, we will update the number. Okay, so the way we can update this number, we can go ahead and say number and plus plus equals 1. Okay, now we have already discussed about earlier. So plus equals is going to first what, take the number as 1 at the static. See, first it is printing the number 1. Okay, and then it is printing, then it is saying I am just changing this number, which is earlier it was 1, in the same loop. We are still in the same loop because all the codes will be executed, then it is going to check the condition again, right? So here we need to play smartly, and here we need to say that we are changing this number using this assignment operator. So we are saying number plus equals 1. So we are plussing whatever the value I had with numbers, plussing 1 and storing it back to numbers. Then see, now the loop will again check the number is less than 10, because now the number value has changed to what? Number value has changed to 2. So 2 is still less than 10, then it is going to print 2. Then it is going to come here, and then this time number plus 1, which is 2 plus 1, that's going to be 3. Then it is again going to check 3 is less than 10. Yes, so it will print till the starting from the last. Okay, alright, so I missed something. I need to say not greater than less than, right? So it is less than, so I'm saying number is less than 10, and then I would say print, and I can just execute it this time. Okay, this time it is working. You can see first it is checking the number, which is number we have, which is 1. So it is checking is 1 is less than 10. Yes, it is less than 10, so it is printing the number. Okay, that is fine. Then what we are doing is that we are updating this number, which is plus equal. So we are saying plus equal, then we are changing the number plus 1. Okay, we are adding 1 with the number, so number changed to 2. Then we are saying number is less than 2. Yes, it is less than 2, then it is printing 2. Then 3, then 4, then so on so on. So every time we are just updating it here. Okay, so the time we update, which is the time when it was 8, number it got printed 8. So we have added one more extra, which is kind of 9 now. Then it has checked again, is this 9 is less than 10? Yes, it is less than 10. Then kind of what it is doing, then it is printing that 9. Okay, then by the time 9 come here, then again we add one more with the 9 and assign it back to numbers. Then it check, is this 10 is less than 10? No, 10 is not less than 10. So that means that is where this loop ends, and then it printed the 9, which is the last element. It printed, already printed the 9. Okay, now if you want this to be kind of this 1 to 10, I mean 1 to 10, then you would need to use this less than equals sign. Okay, because that is where it is going to check if the number is less than equals to 10. So yes, the 10 is less than equals to 10, then it is going to print 10. Okay, you can see now it has included 10. So this is how the while loop works. So what we have done is that we have counted the number up, right, up to 10. We can, same way we can do counting down. So here you may get a little confused, but the same way you need to remember it, same concept. Okay, so the way I remember it, very simple. I can go ahead and say while true. Okay, while true, that means while condition is true, the true is always a true, right? And then we can execute something. What do you want to execute? So we can say print x. Okay, so it is going to print x till infinite loop. Okay, it will never end. I can just show you, but it is going to eat up my computer memory. You can see it here. See, so it is printing x x x. Maybe I have defined x in the earlier, so for that I can just interrupt here, and it has stored stop. Maybe I have something called x variable, and in the x variable I have something called 999. Okay, so you see it has printed 999 till infinite loop, because the loop will never end, right? This condition must be false, then only this loop is going to stop. Okay, so very simple. Till the time condition is true, it is going to execute all the code that is inside this. Okay, so what we can do is that we can implement something, this assignment operator, to manipulate this value so that the loop gets stopped. Okay, so that is the objective here. Let's see now the second problem, which is called counting down. Okay, so we will just see now counting down. For what we can do is using counting down. So we can say, let's say counting down. Okay, now let's say we want something called counting down, which count down the number from maybe starting from 10 to 1. Okay, so let's say it print down the number from 10 to 1. Okay, this time call number which is equals 10. Okay, so this time I'm saying number equals 10 because I would iterate through 10 to 1. Okay, so here I can go ahead and say while this number is greater greater than 0, okay, while this number is greater than 0, so yes, it is 10, obviously it is greater than 0, okay. So this condition, see, while you build the condition, you need to make sure that this condition makes sense with this variable that you have defined, okay. So I'm saying while this number is greater than 0, yes, because here I have defined it as a 10, okay. Now I can go ahead and say here is that print number, okay. So it is obviously going to print the 10, right? Now what I will do, I will change the numbers, okay. I will change the number using the assignment operator, okay. So here what I will do, I would say number minus equals 1. So that means whatever the number I had it here, I am now reducing 1 from it and then storing it back to number. That means it was 10, so it is now going to be what, 9. So here it is going to check if this 9 is greater than 0, yes, it is greater than 0, then it is going to again print 9 here, okay. Then from the 9 I would again minus 1 and store it back to number. So I'm using now minus equals, earlier I have used plus equals, okay. So let's go ahead and execute it and let's see the output, okay. So you can see it has started from 10, okay, because here I have used simply greater sign. It is started from 10, then it has printed 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2. So you can see 1 is greater than 0, so it has printed 1, but next time from 1 I'm minusing 1, so obviously it is going to be what? So 0, right? So 0 is not greater than 0, is not included. If you want to 0 to be included, then you can say equals, okay. You see now the 0 is included. Now we will do some other problems, that's going to be some numbers, okay. Let's do some numbers using while loop, okay. So let's kind of see it how we can do it here. So let's say I want to do here call some numbers, okay. So I want to sum numbers from 1 to, let's say 1 to 10, okay. So I want to build a function that is going to sum the number from 1 to 10. So for that we can start with something called number, and again I would say num of equals 1, okay. And I would just build a logic called while num is less than, while is num is kind of greater than so greater than 1. So what I want is that I would just go ahead and say number equals 1, and while number is greater than 1, I want to print the number, okay. So that's going to simply print the number. We will do the sum later on. So again, then what you can do is that we can change the number. So you can say change the number or increase the number, you can say. So you can say increase number, okay. So you can say increase number. So for increasing the number, we can use the assignment operator, which is called num, and that's going to be plus equals 1, okay. So this is again going to print the number till 10 series, okay. So we would say while this number is greater than 10, and that's going to be here. So I'm going to say it is going to keep on increasing, right? But we need to define a logic because we want to sum till 10. So we can go ahead and say that while this number is less than 10, okay. While this number is less than 10, so first I'm starting with the number 1, and then I'm saying if the number is less than 10, yes, 1 is less than 10, that's going to print the number, okay. Same way is going to increase count till 10, okay. But if in case you want the 10 to be included, because it's a up, so we can use the equals, you can see the 10 is included. So now what I want is that I want to sum all this number, okay, and I want to sum all this number. So I want to sum 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 6 and so on. So for that I would need to create a empty variable, okay. So I can name it called total, and I can store 0 at the moment, okay. So this is an empty variable, you can see it here. Now what I want here, instead of printing this number, I want to do something else here, okay. I would go ahead and say that this total, and I would say plus equals what, num, okay. So this time what I'm doing, I am just printing the same number. If you want, I can also print the number as well, okay. I can print the number, then in this total I am just adding this number and storing it back to total, okay. So and then I'm increasing the number. So first the number is 1, then I'm saying if this number is less than equals to 110, yes that is, then I'm printing the number. Then in this total variable which I have created earlier, here I am just adding that number, you can see, and storing it back to total. Then I'm increasing the number, okay. Let's see now. Okay, so we have done it. Now I will just need to print the total, okay. So for that I can just come out of loop and I can say print total, okay. Now if you see the outcome, it says that it is kind of printing 1 2 till 10, and then you see the total. If you see, it is 55. So if you want to test it for a small number, we can go ahead and define it something called, let me just kind of put it as a comment, and let's say we can just give it till 4. Okay, so we can just see it now. So till 4, if you sum, it's going to be 10. So 1 plus 2, which is going to be 3, and 3 plus 3, which is going to be 6, and 6 plus 4, which is going to be 10. That is a true. Okay, so you have seen how to do this sum numbers using simple logic. Here we just have to create a variables called total to store the data, because every time it will do a sum, we need to store the data. Okay, now let's see this one, which is called 4 multiplications table. So we can create this one as well also here using while loop. So we can go ahead and say that we want 4 multiplications table, we want to create this using while loop. So we can go ahead and say here is that number, and we can say number equals starting with 1, and I would just define it called while number is less than equals 10, because in tables the 10 I want to be included. And what I want is that I want print, and I would just write some text here what I want. So here by default, what I want here is that it's a 4 table, so I would just say 4 here. Okay, see the way what I want is that something like this. Okay, 4x1 equals 4, then you want 4x2 equals 8. Okay, so this is what we want. Okay, so for this I just want to print a nice way of like this as a text, and then I want to show the result. Okay, so it's a 4 table, so it's everywhere I will have 4, so I'm saying 4 times. So this is our again string. Okay, so actually it's not doing the times here, but we will do that, it is here. Okay, so 4x, and then here I want to print this number, whatever the number value starting with 1. Okay, because number is less than equals to 10, and then here I need to build my logic what I want to show the output. Okay, so the output I want to show is something like simple, the 4 times number. Okay, so this is fine. So first the number value is 1, so it is going to multiply with the, it is going to simply print 1 here. So 4 times 1, then we are saying equals, then we can just say 4 and multiplications of number, which is 1. Okay, so we'll have 4. Then what we will do, we will change the number using incremental operator. Okay, so we will say changing or increasing number value by 1. Okay, so we can go ahead and say now is number plus equals 1. Okay, simple way what we have done earlier. So now if I just execute it, okay, it's going to give me 4 tables. You can see it here, I have 4 plus 1, 4 times 1. So this is actually just a text. You can see this is a text, right? This is a text what I am printing, and this is actually not multiplying, right? But what it is multiplying, it's 4, because see earlier the number was 1, then the number got changed by increasing it, number got changed to 2, then 4 times 2, then change it 3, and so on. Okay, you can see I have the 4 table. So if I need maybe a kind of table of 99, okay, you can do it here as well. So what you just need to do is that you need to change this 4 to, let's say, 99. Okay, you see I have the table of 99. If I need a table of, let's say, something like really big numbers, you can see I still have it. Okay, within 1 second, I mean less than milliseconds, you can see it has done it. Okay, so this is how powerful it is. You just need to implement the logic properly. Okay, now let's see our last problems, which is going to be finding a factorial. So let's see the last problems. So last problem we will do this one, which is called factorial, and then we will solve one interview problem that is called reverse string. Okay, so let's see first of all this one, which is called finding a factorials. Let's see first of all what is factorial number. If you want to understand the factorial number, if I just say 3 factorial, so the factorial number of 3 is going to be like 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, so that's going to be 6. Okay, if I want to find the factorials of 5, so it's going to be 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, so that is going to be what, 5 times 4 is going to be 20 plus 3, 20 times 3, that's 60, 60 times 2, that means 120, and 1 is 120. Okay, so this is how we calculate factorials. Okay, so let me just comment it out. Okay, so we want to calculate factorials. So we want to build a function that take a input from the users, and then it kind of calculate the factorials. Okay, using while loop. So for that, first let's take an input from the user. So we can go ahead and say input, and I would just use int Okay, to convert this input, let's first write the prompt call please enter number to get factorials. Okay, and whatever input we will be getting, it's a string, so I would first convert it back to what number. Okay, int, so I would just go ahead and say num. Okay, so I am getting a factorial, I'm getting a number from the users. Okay, so very simple. Now this is, I'm storing it back to numbers. Now what I want is, first of all, very simple, I would just go ahead and say if, see, factorial of 1 equals what, factorial of 1 is always 1. So I want to ensure that if, I would say if number, so I will use if logic here. I would say if number that user enter equals 1, then I would just go ahead and say print, and I would say factorial of number is what, factorial of number is 1 only, right? So we can simply go ahead and factorial of 1 is itself only. Okay, so this message is going to be printed, that's only if the number is entered by the user is 1. If it is not 1, then we can use else logic and we can put our while loop here. Okay, so we are kind of mixing up everything here. Okay, so here I'm going to say while, and what I want is that simple, very simple, I would say while the number which is user has entered, which is num, greater than 0. Okay, while this number is greater than 0, because see, we know that user is going to enter the number is greater than 0, but 1 we have already dealt with it. So I can, here I can go ahead and say greater than 1, very simple. Okay, because if in case they enter 1, so obviously it will fall here, and if they enter 2, so that is going to fall here. So I would say while the number is greater than 1. Okay, if it is greater than 1, then what I want to include, okay, what I want to do, so I would go ahead and say here is that, very simple, I would go ahead and say that first let's create a factorial empty, let's first create a factorial empty variable. So I would just go ahead and say factorials, and I would just go ahead and say at the moment I have kind of 1. Okay, so what I want is that factorials, I would say times, and I'm going to say multiplications equals, okay, num. Fine, so it is going to, in this factorial, so I have initially I have 1. Okay, so I'm saying multiplications equals, so we have also covered this in the assignment operators earlier. So that means whatever the number user has entered, let's say user has entered, so now let's say user has entered 3. Okay, and in the factorials I have 1, right, by default. So user has going to so it is going to simply factorial times of 3, that what user has entered, and then it is going to store it back to what, factorial. So same as like plus equal minus equal, and this is where doing a multiplications and equals. So it is simply multiplying factorials, which is 1 times the number that you have user, and which is 3, and then it is storing it back to factorials. Okay, so that is fine. Now we will decrease this number using this assignment operator. So we will say decrease number. Okay, decreasing number. So for that you can just simply say num, and I would say minus, and I'm going to say minus equals 1. Okay, so it's going to decrease number minus equals by 1. So again, this will never fall into this condition because it is already done. Then it is again going to come this while loop. So it is going to check this number. This time number is going to be from 3, it is going to be 2. Then it is going to again do the same thing. It's going to multiply with whatever the factorial I had earlier, which is 3. Then again this time is going to be factorial is going to be 3, and then I would multiply with 2 and then store it back to factorials. Okay, if I reduce the number by 1 more minus 1, then it is going to be 1. So I would just need to add, then I would just need to print, so then I would just need to print the factorials. Okay, I would just go ahead and say simple factorials. Okay, 3. Okay, you can see it is getting 6. So let's understand how it is happening. Okay, here we are saying, hey, if the number, whatever the number user has entered, is it 1? If it is 1, it is simply printing this message, problem solved. Okay, if that is not 1, let's say user has entered something called 3. Okay, if user has entered 3, it is checking if this number is greater than 1. Yes, the number is greater than 1. If it is greater than 1, we are just doing factorial. See, by default factorials we have stored 1. So this is what you need to remember. Okay, so we are saying factorial times 3, which is user has entered, that is the number at the moment, this number value is 3. We are multiplying with the number value with the factorials, and that means we will be getting 3. We are storing it back into the factorials. Okay, that is fine. Then we are decreasing the number because we know that user will always enter the number which is more than 1, maybe 55, 20, 30, whatever it is, we do not know, right? So we are decreasing the number by 1. Then the number value is going to be what? Whatever user has entered minus 1, right? Then we are again multiplying with the earlier factorial's value. So earlier factorial's value after doing the multiplication was 3. So 3 times again maybe 2. And then we are checking the last time, which is for 1. So at the end, lastly, it is going to multiply with 1. Again, if you multiply with 1, you get nothing. You get the same value, right? So that is what happening here. Now let's kind of test it for big numbers. Okay, let's say 125. You can see it is so big. Okay, you can see how big this number is, because 125, 124, 123 is such a very big, right? We can check it for something like maybe 6. You can say 720. Okay, you can check it for something like 9. Say 36,2880. Okay, so you can check it for maybe 5. So it is 120. So we have already checked like for the 5 earlier. So this is how this factorial is working. Now you need to build your logic properly here. Okay, so now let's see one of the really popular interview question, which is called reverse string using while loop. So let's see the question. So we have the question here, which is called reverse string, okay, using while loop. Let's solve it here only. Okay, so I'm just going to add a code cell here and we will say reverse string. So let's take example of string hello world. Okay, so we need to reverse this string. Okay, so to reverse this string we will be using while loop. Okay, we will need few of the things. Okay, so first define that what are the things we need. Okay, so reverse string, I hope you know, right? It's going to be DLROW space and OLLEH. Okay, this is going to be the reverse string. Okay, so let's start with the reverse and string, and we will start with the empty variables name called reverse string. Okay, this element, if I want to access using a positive number, so that's going to be total length of this minus 1, because if I want to access this element, which is going to be d, so this is going to be the total length and the minus 1, because we use this one as a 0, right? So this is how it works. So I would go ahead and kind of say here is that index, and for that I'm going to say length of what, length of this string, and call minus 1. Okay, so if you want to see it, this is always going to give me this string, from this string this word, which is last characters. Why? Because here I'm saying len, so the len of this string is going to be 11, and from 11 if I'm just doing minus 1, so I will be left with 10. So if I want to use the index on this, I can simply go ahead and say that this string of this index, not this, which is called this index, and you will see I will have this last letter. So oops, so you see I'm getting d. Okay, why? Because this total length, from the total length if I minus 1, okay, then I will have this. Okay, so because based on the index it starts from 0. Okay, so same logic we will be using to solve our problem. So I would say while, and I'm going to say while index is, okay, while index is greater than equals to 0. Okay, because I know that the index is always going to be positive, because how we are getting the index is based on the len. Even if you user enter a word with the 1 text, so 1 minus 1 is going to be what, it's 0, right? So here you are saying index is greater than equals to 0, because I know that even if the user enter one text word, still that is going to be, index is going to be 0, right? It's not going to be less than 0. So I'm saying while index is greater than 0, we want to print something. So here I'm going to say something like this. Okay, which is called string of what, string of this index. Okay, so this is going to give me what, this is going to give me this last word, which is going to be d. Okay, for let's say we are taking an example of this. Okay, so it's going to give me the last word, which is d. Okay, that is fine. Now we will store it onto this reverse string. So the way we can store it, again we can just go ahead and say plus equals. Okay, so it is simply going to store, so we'll go ahead and say plus equals. Okay, so simply we are using assignment operator here. So whatever we get from this string index, so that is obviously the last, and that's going to be storing into this reverse string. That is fine. Next, what we will do now, we will change the index value. We will change index. Okay, so we will need to reduce index by 1. So we will go ahead and say that now this index minus equals 1. Okay, that's it. Now at the end we can just print our result, which is going to be print of what, which is reverse string. So we can go ahead and say print of reverse string. You can see we will have our outcome, which is starting with d. You can see it here, it is started with d and ending with h. Okay, now if I just give it back here, I will be having hello world. Okay, So you can see now I'm having hello world. So very simple implementations what we have done. Let's see one more time. I'm saying a string, so I'm defining a string here. I'm saying reverse string, it's empty string here. Okay, then I'm using simple index, which is based on the string that user has entered, and I'm using -1 to access the last element. Okay, and then I'm just printing the last element and storing it in this, which is called a reverse string. Okay, using simple accessing the last elements and storing it in this reverse string, which I have defined it as empty variables earlier. Then we're just reducing the string by -1 till the time it become a 0. It ends the loop, or till that time we get everything that we needed, because we have used greater than equals 0. Okay, even if it is 0, still it is considered. Now let's say if user has entered only one word, let's say x. Okay, so still see I'm getting x, because the reverse of x is going to be x. Okay, if user enter something called hello, okay, I'm getting something called hello. You can see it is a reverse of hello. We change it back to here, we will be getting hello. Okay, now let's say our last class, which is going to be building a project. Whatever we have learned, we're going to apply everything in this project. Okay, let's read the project. Okay, so the project says it's a mini project number guessing game. Okay, so we're going to create a game here. So it says the program will randomly select a number between 1 to 100. The player will have a limited number of chance, let's say 7, to guess the number. After each guess, the number will, so the program will tell the player that whether their guess is too high or too low. If the player guess correctly within the allowed number of attempts, they win. Otherwise, the game ends and player loses. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new Python file. I'll just right click and say new file, and I'm going to call app.py. Okay, so maybe this time I'm going to say game.py. Okay, that's fine. Now before that, I just want to show you one Python library which is called random. Okay, so I would say import random. Okay, this is a library that simply generate a random number. So if in case I want to show you, I can say random dot rand int. Okay, so it generate a random int number from a series, maybe 1 to 100. So it's going to generate a random number. You can see if I execute it again, something else. Okay, so this is what we will use to generate a random numbers. Okay, so let's go back to our game and let's first of all copy paste here. Now let's read it again. So the project is very simple. It says number guessing game, and you see here it says the program will randomly select a number between 1 to 100. I would just give it 1 to 20, and the player will have a limited number of chance, let's say 7. I'm going to change it to 5. Guess the number. Okay, is guess, the program will tell the player that whether is their guess is too high or too less. Now if the player guess the number correctly, then basically it's going to simply tell that okay, you won, and otherwise they will lose. Okay, if their attempt loses, right? So that is what we will do. So let's first go ahead and import our libraries, which is going to be dependencies. Okay, I would say import random. Okay, so this is fine. I am going to now generate a number, so random dot rand int. Okay, and from 1 to 20, and I would just want to store this number, so I would just go ahead and say maybe correct number. Okay, that is fine. So I would now, what I will do, I would just start with something called print some message called print, and I would say welcome to the number guessing game. Okay, I am thinking a number between 1 to 20. You have 5 attempt to guess it correctly. Okay, if you win, I will give $1,000. Okay, now that is fine. Now let's kind of start building our logic. Okay, so I would just go ahead and start with something called attempt, and attempt I want to give it call 5 at the moment, so I'll be using this in the while loop. Okay, so I will say while, and I would say attempt is greater than 0. Okay, if the attempt is greater than 0, that means user is left with some attempt, then I would want to do something. Okay, so first thing, I would collect the numbers from the user, so I would say collecting numbers. So I would say int put, I would say input, and I would say please guess the number. Okay, so user is going to guess the number, and I'm going to convert this number to int because it's going to be as a like string. Okay, so that is fine. Now I would just store this number into a variable called num, Okay, that is fine. Next, what I want to check this number, if this number is correct or not. So for that I would say if num is equals to what, our this correct number which this function has created. If that's true, we will offer the 1000 bucks. Okay, so we'll say print, and I will say congrats, you won $1000. Okay, so that is fine. Next, what I want, if in case the number is not correct, right, so we want to do something. Okay, if the number is correct, we would also break the loop. Okay, simply using break. Now you see here we are applying the break what we have learned. All right, if the number is not correct, what do we want to do? We want to check two conditions, if the number is too high or too less, right? So for that we can use one more if condition, that's going to be elif, which we have learned yesterday. So if, and we can put our second condition, which is if this number is greater than our number, which is correct number, then we want to say that print your number is too high. Okay, else what we want is that else what we want, we will say your number is too low. Okay, that is fine. Now at the end what we will do is that we will reduce the attempt. Okay, because user has already tried, so we will say attempt minus equals 1, what we have learned already, right? Just add a comment called reducing the attempt. Okay, so this attempt is not part of if block, so you see that this is outside if block, it is part of while, right, while loop. That is fine. So then again it's going to go back to the loop. So that now this attempt is going to be 4, so 4 is greater than 0. Then again it's going to ask the another numbers, user is going to enter the numbers, and each and all these things will happen, right, repeatedly. So what else I want? Okay, so if now finally if this attempt is 0, okay, if this attempt is equals to 0, then if this attempt equals to 0, okay, if the attempt ends, so we would print a message called print you are attempt finished. Okay, your attempt finished, you lost the game. Okay, that is fine. And here we will also print the maybe the attempt, if in case we want to print the attempt, so we can go ahead and say print the attempt. Okay, we will say that is here, maybe print your attempt left, and we would use a placeholders, we will use a dog formatting, and we will just show the attempt left. Okay, so that is it. Now this is what we wanted to do. Let's go ahead and execute the game. Okay, and so right click on run in terminal, and you see I'm thinking a number, so it says welcome to the number guessing game, and I'm thinking a number between 1 to 20. You have 5 attempts to guess it correctly. If you win, I will give 1000, and please guess the number. Okay, let's guess it something called maybe 9. Okay, so your number is too low, so it is less than what the number. We have 4 attempts left, you can see it here. Let's get it something called 11. So luckily, let's see, your number is too high, is low. Okay, low high. So let's first again we will do that later on, the in a typo error. Okay, let's guess it maybe something called 15. No, we have two more attempt left, finger cross. So let's guess it something like this time 6. 1 attempt left, so last time let's guess it something called 14. Okay, so say your attempt finished, you lost the game. Okay, so little bit improvement is required, so we will go ahead and kind of at the end, if the user couldn't guess the number, we will display the number here. Okay, so say your attempt finished, you lost the game, number was, and we will something call, okay, and maybe in a new line we'll say new line. Okay, the number, the correct number was, and here we can put the number which is going to be our correct number. Okay, just to show that display the correct number. Okay, so that just to identify that user couldn't guess it, so I will just use a formatting here. And here I did some mistake called your number is too high, your number is too low high, so this low is what I need to remember. Okay, so let's kind of save it, and let's kind of try it again. So this time I'm going to run it from the terminal. So let's first clear everything, and let's first see if we have the game. So we have the game.py, so we will say Python. Let me just make it bigger. Okay, oops. So we will say Python, and we will say game.py. Okay, see, it's saying welcome to the number guessing game. I am thinking a number between 1 to 20. You have 5 attempts to guess it correctly. If you win, I will give you $1,000. So let's guess it 8. Okay, number is too low, so 4 attempts left. Let's guess it maybe 16. Too high. Okay, let's guess it something called 7. Let's guess it something called 2 more attempt left, finger crossed. So this time I hope I get it correctly. So let's get it something called maybe 10. Okay, okay, last one attempt, I'm not sure, so let's try with 13. Your attempt finished, you lost the game. I was so close, it was 14. Okay, so let's try it again. Okay, this seems like fun. So let's first clear the terminal. Okay, also clear terminal, and I would say Python game run. So let's this time try with something called 12. Okay, no, let's try with 13. Let's try with 15. Let's try with 16. Let's try with maybe maybe less 7. Yeah, I got it correctly. Thank you. Amazing. Okay, you can see I got it correctly. So I got $1,000, guys. You can try the same game, and you can let me know if you have won $1,000. And yeah, I'm going to send this $1,000 if you can, win it correctly. So do let me know. No cheating, guys. So let me know in the comment box. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching the video till the end. If you really like this content, do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you will find all this code in the GitHub repository. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.